You're listening to Blue Collar CEO, the podcast that's all about helping you build a better, more profitable, and more sustainable home service business. Each week, we'll cover a different topic that will help enable your company to move forward to success. And here's your host, Ryan Redding.
What is up, Blue Collar CEOs? It's Ryan, and it's awesome to be with you today. Hope things are going well wherever you are in your neck of the woods. And actually, speaking of neck of the woods, it would be really cool for me if you don't follow us on our Facebook page. It's BlueCollar.CEO. And I would love to know wherever you're listening from. I see the analytics. I know how many of you tune in from Apple and from Google and from all the other places. But I'd really like to hear from you, personally, just who you are, where you live, kind of the business you're in. It's just helpful for me to know how we can provide good content for you. So yeah, hope you're doing good wherever you are, driving to, working out, whatever. Thanks for putting us as a part of your day. I'm getting ready to introduce you to Paul Sanneman. Paul is an expert in hiring, specifically hiring processes for construction companies. This guy's super, super good at what he does, and has been doing it for a long time. We're going to be talking about the top 5 myths that contractors do when they make a hiring, when they have a hire that they're trying to go through, and also some things you can put into play today that will actually save you a whole lot of time, money, and headache if you can get this dialed in. So let's get going. Let's introduce you to Paul. Paul, I am really glad we're able to get you on the show today because I know your schedule's busy. I know we've connected a few times before, but not in this sort of context. So this is sort of fun. But for those maybe who don't yet know who you are, can we just maybe start there? Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, well, my name's Paul Sanneman. I've been doing coaching in the construction industry for 40 years, which makes me an old guy, right? I've literally worked with 2,000 clients, have 150,000 hours doing this. I learned, $10 million an hour at a time, right? Been here a long time.
Yeah.
And over that time, I've learned a lot about construction and what works, it doesn't work, and that kind of thing. What happened about 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, I could get companies from $1 million to 10 million, kind of really good at marketing stuff, but they couldn't find employees. And so they go, well, this is really great. We've got all this business. We haven't got anybody to do it. And I said, my first idea was, okay, I'll find some really cool software and give it to you. So I found a really good applicant tracking system. I found a good assessment system. I found all the latest, greatest software out there. I gave it to them and they totally screwed it up. Didn't have any time to do it, right? Okay, fine. So I put a guy in my garage and I said, okay, I want you to do it for my clients on a monthly basis. I'll just sort of charge them a little more money and I'll do recruiting for them. That was my idea. Okay. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Now we have 30 people on the team. They're all over the world. Any given day, we run to 300 to 400 job openings. We go through 3,000 or 4,000 resumes a week. We hire 10 or 15 people a week, and we work through a couple hundred companies anyway. They're usually in the construction industry. The key to our success is actually we have really good applicant tracking system, really good software. We use a lot of AI. We use a lot of offshore, which holds our labor costs down. So we're able to do it way cheaper than better than anybody else. I think that's why we've grown a lot. So that's what I do mostly now.
Yeah, and the thing about kind of paying someone like you to do it is that now it's your headache. Because a friend of mine today, hey Cassie, if you're listening, she took a picture of her calendar because she connected Indeed to her calendar so applicants could schedule interviews through Indeed. And her calendar is for the next 7 days, just solid interviews in 30-minute blocks.
I will tell you, Ryan, we have to go through an average of 200 applicants at least to find one person.
Yeah. It is totally a numbers game that most
and
business owners and
we
managers
feel
don't
we've taken that load off the contractor and it works really well. But I'll tell you, I've got a couple of suggestions. I think some myths I believe that contractors believe in that gets in their way of doing effective recruiting themselves.
Ooh, I like myths. Hit me. What you got? What do you think about those?
Okay, so the first one is, I love this first one, only recruit when you need somebody.
That's a
tip. I need a project manager, I need a carpenter, I need whatever. I will go recruit for them. When I find them, I'm done. Not true.
Yeah.
You need to be recruiting all of the time.
Always be hiring.
I fought this one with contractors for years, right? I'll tell you, we went through 186 contractors last year and they all quit for the same reason. You guys are awesome. You found all my people. We're done. And I go, no, don't quit.
Yeah.
So I changed my pricing structure. I said, okay, it's $3,000 a month. You do a month at a time. But if you'll sign up for a year, I'll do it for $1,200 a month, right? So I made the financial incentive so steep that they finally agreed to it. That's what it took to do it, because it's a mindset. It's hard to change people's mindset. The second one myth is employees are expensive. Not true. People go, I'll hire John when I get the next project. Or, oh my God, I can't believe I'm paying that guy much money. As far as I know, as a contractor, you can't make any money without a team.
100%.
And so employees are not expensive. They're the best investment you're ever going to make. And make sure you're paying market for who you're working for, or working with you, or you're going to lose them.
Well, I'll maybe say two things on this from my experience too. I'm curious your thoughts. So one is this idea of it was a big mental switch for me to learn as I started learning management and leadership skills for myself. Was this sounds really cold, and I don't mean it to sound cold, but employees are resources to be leveraged, right? So
absolutely,
if you think employees are expensive, no, you're thinking about them wrong, because they're resources. They are absolutely someone who lets you.
And you can't make any money without a team.
100%, and they can do.
And when you look in this 100%. Industry, you're basically selling your team.
Yeah, it is absolutely a true fact. And the second point I was going to make, I can't recall because that was just a really good point I made. So I'm just going to say that was point number one and only. Okay, so employees are expensive. That's totally a fair point. People should do it. What's another myth you feel like you have?
The next one, Ryan, is, we can do this ourselves. It's not hard, right? Well, they don't do their own accounting. They probably don't do their plumbing, electrical if they're a general contractor. And they think, how hard is this? I put an ad in Indeed. I call people a week later, and it's all going to work. I'll give an example. I think we hired, give or take, 450 last year people. 17 didn't work out. That's it. Now, that's like a 95% success ratio, right? In this industry, it's more like 50 or less. Why? Because they don't have somebody else do it. That's a big thing. Now, it's not cheap, and we can show you how to make it less expensive. But the thing is, you're probably not really good at recruiting. That's my guess. Especially if you're a small guy between 2 and 15 people. Now, if you've got 30 employees or 50 employees, you probably got an HR manager and you're good. But most small contractors don't do that.
Yeah, I feel like most contractors look for people like themselves. Does that make sense? Like, they're really good tech. They're really good at painting. They're really good at plumbing, whatever it is. And they just want to find someone's that reminds them of them. And that's, in my experience, that's usually the worst possible way to hire people.
Absolutely. And, because they don't, I'll talk later about procedures to follow to get a right person. But my experience is most contractor thinks they don't do their own accounting. They probably don't fix their own car. Why they think they can do this themselves, I have no clue. Because this is the most important thing you've got as your team. And somehow they think, that's not a big skill. I use an example, Ryan. Elon Musk is one of the richest guys in the world. And it's not because he's really smart. I mean, that's helpful, but his ability to build teams is awesome.
100%.
And that's what makes a great contractor, that ability to build teams. And unless you know about recruiting and HR and all the best practices, you should hire somebody to do it. That's a myth.
But there's probably also to be said, before we go on, because I think there's something to be said for the role of the owner, which is creating a company culture and a vision worth recruiting for. Right. So yesterday I spoke with Tommy Mello. Tommy is, for those who don't know, he's a beast in the garage door industry, and he's one of the most successful home service companies, from like negative 50K in debt to this year he's going to hit 300 million top line. So he has a lot of success, but he's a really good person that demonstrates and personifies like what it's like to create a compelling vision, create an exceptional brand that attracts people. So now you can actually take your selection of the best because people are coming to you. You're not having to go to them. But I would make the argument that the role of a leader and owner should be comfortably to sit in the kind of visionary seat to create an attractive business that's even worth recruiting for.
I'll talk about later about a job ad. Your internal sale, recruiting your people is just as reporting as getting good clients.
Yeah.
In this industry, if you have great clients because you're marketing all the time, and you have great employees because you're recruiting all the time, it's an awesome industry. Yeah. But if you take employees you don't necessarily like because you're not good at it, you have not great employees, and you take clients you don't want because your marketing is not working, you're working with marginal clients and marginal employees, it sort of sucks. I mean, it's not a great industry. It makes your job really difficult. And most people that suffer in this industry is because they don't have great clients and great employees. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're totally right. What's another myth you got?
So the next myth, which gets in people's way, Ryan, is recruit within the construction industry. I have a lot of people say, oh, they have to have a construction background.
Nope.
Not true.
Almost
Who
never.
they are is way more important than what they know.
Yeah.
You can teach people stuff, right? So I'll give you an example. We were looking for selection coordinators, that kind of people, maybe office managers, that kind of thing. And think about a wedding planner, right? Now, a wedding planner has to get to group a sort of, I'm call flakes, probably a bad word, but they're not the most dependable group. You got the band, you got the flower person, you got the venue, you got the caterer, and they all have to show up at the right place at the right time, and it's got to look really good, and everybody's got to be happy. Sounds like a remodel to me.
Yeah. You're making a really good point.
And people become wedding planners because they love doing this stuff.
Yeah.
So we have made a lot of great placements at selection quarters from wedding planners. I've got a guy that ran a bunch of hotels, now he runs a bunch of construction offices. It's still a business. He knows how to write So, you can say construction experience preferred, but not required. Don't shoot yourself in the foot by putting a restriction that's going to eliminate probably your best people.
I agree 1,000% with this. I feel like, how do I say this? The best companies in all industries, not just construction or blue collar, but pick an industry. The companies don't identify as construction or manufacturing or a restaurant. They identify as customer service. They just happen to sell food. They just happen to remodel a bathroom.
The example would be the big ones, Lennar, D.R. Horton, those guys.
Oh, sure.
You can't even go to work for them if you have construction experience because you can't learn their way of doing things.
Yeah, you have to unlearn it, and that's too difficult for a lot of people to do.
And it's really tough. I mean, some guy comes, he's a project manager, he comes up with a yellow pad, he's been doing it for 40 years and says, I'm not going to use any of this, newfangled project management software. You got to retrain the guy, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes experience gets in the way.
Yeah, 100% it does.
So the idea you need to recruit from the construction industry is a myth. That is not true. Now, the next one, I'm going to think, if all these I mentioned so far, this might be the most important. This is the biggie, okay?
Oh, this would be
the myth is hire fast and fire slow.
Ooh, okay.
So what happens is you take the first sort of okay warm body that shows up because you got a project, put an ad in Indeed, some guy shows up and you go, man, I got to do this right away. And so you hire fast because you have them recruiting all the time. So you just take who shows up, right? And it looks good, so you hire fast.
Yeah.
Now, firing slow is even worse because this guy gets on the job. You spent years building corporate culture, right? Everybody's honest, trustworthy. They show up on time. They're really great human beings to have working for you. And you have a value structure. It's taken you a long time and a lot of effort to create this values that your team actually believes in. Now, this guy or woman shows up. He's only late occasionally. He only lies once in a while. He only steals when he needs to, right? And they see this guy. It kills your corporate culture.
Yeah.
All that time you spent building this corporate culture can be destroyed by one guy in 6 months.
So fast. So fast. So are you
so fast.
Are you an advocate for is it Gary Vee who I think he says hire slow, fire fast, promote faster?
That's the truth.
Yeah.
The myth is hire fast and fire slow. The reality is hire slow and fire fast. So hire slow, go back to the first. I mean, you need to be recruiting all the time. Have to have a bench. So you can't hire slow. Construction goes up and down. And all of a sudden you get this, you're waiting for this big project and you get it. You haven't got anybody to do it, right? Oh my God. So you hire fast because you have to. You fire slow because you can't find the guy to replace the guy you don't like.
Yeah.
And what happens also when you fire slow, there's the thing I call raised by blackmail. And what happens is project manager comes in. So it's not me, it's my wife. But I need to make $5 more an hour, or I'm going to have to look for another job. In fact, I've got another job over here. She found it for me. So nothing personal, but I need $5 more an hour. Now, if you need the guy, you're sort of screwed. You have to do it. And now what does that say to the other people in the company?
Yeah.
How do you get a raise in my company? You blackmail the boss.
You threaten to quit. How do you, I'm curious because I feel like I see a lot of guys struggle with this one too. One would be, so in a situation like this, it makes sense. And especially for like, I'll say like lower level positions, not that there's positions that are less important, but there's ones that are just easier to replace. So maybe it's people that are doing kind of the more nug work. They're driving around vans, delivering inventory, whatever, right? Those tend to be higher turnover positions in a lot of cases. And so it's easy to make the argument for, hey, you want a deep bench because you can't not run parts. You can't not run jobs. You can't not do these things because those really kind of low skill jobs are really important for the business running smoothly. The higher skilled jobs like do what they do best. But the other aspect is I think a lot of people fail to see the windows on this is when you do find an exceptionally high performer that unexpectedly crosses your path, that in my opinion, you should find a way to make a seat for them and figure it out.
That's like to always be recruiting, right? Yeah, I come across contractors. This is the thing. You found my project manager. We're good. He's awesome. We're going to leave. And I go, okay, shall I be recruiting? And they go, I'm not recruiting. I go, let's say some guy shows up. He happened to work for a competitor, which is, across town. Say you're a remodeler and you build new homes. He knows every architect in town. He knows every subcontractor in town. He could bring $3 million worth of work the day he shows up. Did I not hire this guy?
Yeah.
Now, if you're not looking, you're not going to find him. So there's always room for the right person in your organization. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
That's why you're always recruiting. Okay. And then you hire fast. You don't hire fast. You hire slow, and you don't fire slow, you fire fast. That's just basics, right?
Yeah.
And I say one thing, Ryan, in listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast, look at your current organization. You too, right? Okay. Look at your company. And let's say for some reason, you had to start a new one, right? The same thing, sort of similar location, but everybody was gone. The question is, who would you rehire? Knowing what you know. Anybody that you wouldn't rehire, you should fire.
That's interesting.
And you're probably not going to fire him because how am I going to find another guy? And then he becomes the world's worst employee, not bad enough to fire, good enough to keep.
Yeah.
You just kill your organization.
Do you have any more secret myths that you find on that list, or does that
I got one more.
Hit me. What's the last one? This sounds interesting.
Okay, the last one is just recruiting is a project that ends. It sort of ties into the first one. The problem is contractors, their whole life, their mindset is built on what we call a project mentality. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end, and you are done. So unfortunately, they take that same mindset and they project it to everything, including recruiting. And they don't look at maybe accounting as that way. But when it comes to recruiting, it fits in the project model. So they go, oh, I need a project manager. I will look for a project manager. I will find one. I will hire him, and I'm done. Not true. And the problem is, since contractors have this like mindset about project mentality, they project it on recruiting, and it just doesn't work. It's like marketing. Yeah. I got a big project. I'm done. You should always be recruiting and always be marketing. Just fundamental basics. So I'll go really quickly. So the myths are only recruit when you need some. Not two. You should be recruiting all the time.
All the time.
Two, employees are expensive. Not true. You can't make any money without employees. Third one, we can do it ourselves. Not true.
Good luck.
Get somebody like us or somebody who's really good at it. 3, recruit within the construction industry. Not true. You need to look outside the industry. Add the thing, construction experience not preferred. Hire fast, fire slow. Not true. Hire slow and fire fast. And the last one is recruiting is a project that ends. It's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the myths I find that get in the way of contractors actually doing a job of recruiting because they actually believe this stuff.
So they totally do. And they fall into it so easily. And okay, so let me ask. So someone who subscribes to any of these myths, and any one of them could be devastating, but combined, they're non-starters, right? You will not get off the start line.
Well, that's why, how many contractors complain, oh, there's no good people out there. I can't find anybody. It's
Yeah.
considered the number one problem in the second largest industry, which is finding good people. It's not a problem if you do it right. We have a 95% chance of finding people. Okay. Same thing. People go, oh, nobody wants to buy my remodeling service or my, whatever, like say painting service or whatever. It's not true. If you market well, you get one. I think sort of a classic example is sort of a little historical, but the corner drugstore or the corner little market's going, I can't find any people. There's nobody in Bodunk, Wisconsin. They just don't exist, right? Not possible. Walmart moves in. They hire 300 people. Where do they come from? Right?
My favorite example of this, especially when people complain about quality employees, when they're like, everyone in my market sucks, there's no good employees, blah, 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 blah. Because I feel like I hear that every day. Chick-fil-A always is exceptional in every market it's in. They're in the same market as Wendy's and Burger King and McDonald's, and pick up any fast food restaurant, right? Chick-fil-A is always fast, they're clean, organized, they're professional, they're polite. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My pleasure. Those things are trained. Like those are
it's a culture.
Traits, cultural things.
I live in Hawaii, and there's a town, Pahoa, which is like got 2,000 people. It's a little teeny town in the middle of the big island of Hawaii. And they put a Chick-fil-A in, and it's killing it, right? It's a little teeny town in the middle of nowhere. So if you have the right process, you can find the right people. Now, Ryan, I'm going to tell you what the process is. All right.
Let's go. Because the problems are easy. Things, what's the process?
Okay. This is how you fix it. All right. So, number one, the art of the job ad. It's an ad. It's not a job description. It's an ad. It's no different than putting an ad in like Use Our Company, right?
Yeah.
When you put an ad for Use Our Company, you don't say, we're great, we're wonderful, use us. You want to find out, did your last remodeler not do a good job? You want to find out what the client's problems are in order to attract the right client. They don't care about who you are. And a lot of advertising, they miss the boat because they focus on, I'm great, not what do you need, right? Same thing for recruiting. It's a position that your ad needs to say, it could say something like, are you not respected where you're working? Are you the best person where you work and nobody realizes it? Do you feel you're underpaid and overpaid and undervalued? I mean, you've got to write an ad. You've got to write something that's going to appeal to the person you want to come work for you. Just like to appeal to the person you want to come buy your stuff.
Yeah, 100% agree. I've got a friend, Nancy, at Yellow Dog Creative. They do a lot of like video production. They do a lot of things, but video is a big thing. But she is a huge fan of when you create an ad, target the spouse of who you're targeting. And her gut and her opinion and experience on this is the spouse dealing with you working is the one experiencing the pains. They're seeing you work overtime. They're
probably,
weekends.
Is your husband never home? Would you like him to go and play baseball with the kids, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's what she does. Like, could you imagine what it'd be like if your husband was home at your kids' sporting events and not having to work on call on weekends because of poor management?
Right.
Like, target the spouse, and the spouse would be like, yo, look at this. Like, now
look at this. She's looking for a job. Absolutely good idea. Now, the good news is, Ryan, this is way better than it used to be. Thanks to ChatGPT. Hallelujah AI. So you can go to ChatGPT and say, I am a painting contractor. I am whatever. I am in this area. I'm looking for this kind of person. Please write me an ad that will attract this kind of human being. And it will write the ad for you and do a great job. And you can modify it. So use AI to write your ads. And it's the best. It didn't exist a year ago, and now it's just killing it. Okay.
It's everywhere.
Next best practice is post the job everywhere, not just in Indeed or someplace else. When we post a job, it goes to 180 job boards plus LinkedIn plus Facebook. Plus we search all those databases. You can't do that, but make sure put a poster in your supplier's office. We're looking for a painter, right? So put it everywhere. Don't just put one ad in and figure I'm done. Okay? Not a good idea. The next one, this is again one of the most critical ones, like the hire slow and fire fast. Respond within minutes of the time they apply. This is tough sometimes.
But this is, again,
right?
where automation and technology can make
That's
it a
where
whole lot
we do
easier.
it. People apply,
Yeah.
boom. Thank you for applying. Love you to apply for this position. We automate all that stuff, right? So the problem is, it's just like when you look at a person looking for like a kitchen remodeler or whatever, or a painter, they're going to start going through the internet and calling people, right?
Mm-hmm.
First one that answers the phone certainly gets the job, right? They're going to keep going to the next one, next one, next one. Same thing when I'm going through Indeed or somebody's looking for jobs. I will apply for 10. The person that gets back to me immediately go, wow, they have their act together. I got a response. He just applied, right? So again, you look way better to the applicant if you respond immediately than if you call them 10 days later, right? Because the chances are anybody you want to have work for you already has a job.
Yeah, the good ones do.
They all have a job. So you've got to make them want to quit where they're working and come to work for you. So if you don't respond immediately, it's probably not going to work. So that's key. And a lot of people do not. We get, on the average job, we have like give or take 200 applicants. We respond immediately because they got a lot of AI to do that. Now, unfortunately, if you're a 3 guys in a truck or whatever you are out there, and you're not going to call the person the second. It's not possible, right? Mm-hmm. That's why you should outsource to somebody like us or something that can actually do that, because it's pretty impossible for your average contractor to respond in 5 minutes. Everybody applies, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now, next one, critical, the selection process. There are assessments out there. I think we have the best. I can tell you more about your mom than your mom knows if you'll take my assessment. I can tell. We do a predictive disc assessment, what you're good at, what you're not good at. We even can predict whether you lie or tell the truth, whether you cheat. I mean, I can tell all about you as a human being. We've come a long, long way in assessments. So I have an assessment that I will tell you if you're going to be. We have a called predictive assessment. So we do a disc profile, which basically outlines some personality, and then we have a profile run against that for that position. So we know, do you have the right personality to be a salesperson or a carpenter? Because we've done thousands of these. So we know what your disc profile needs to look like to succeed at this job, your intelligence, your personality. So assessments are amazing. We can also tell you, do you support others? Are you critical? Do you lie? This is an interesting question on one of the assessments for telling the truth. All right. I'm going to ask you this one, Ryan. I can put you on the spot. You ready?
Okay. Geez. I hope I don't screw this up.
Okay. So here's the question, Ryan. I want you to support your boss. That's important, right? Support your boss. Okay. Now, your boss says, hey, Ryan, go tell the cabinets or whatever, the product's going to be here in 2 weeks. Go tell them that. You know it's 4 weeks. The boss knows it's 4 weeks. So what are you going to do, Ryan? You're going to lie and support your boss, or you're going to tell the truth?
I'll probably try to present both is what I would do. Is this a multiple choice? I'd probably be like,
no,
hey,
this is an A or B. Either you lie.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
Or you tell the truth and say, oh, well, I can't do that. And you don't support your boss. Which is better?
This is a tough one for me because I feel like that's like a moral divide, right? That's not just.
I know it is. Now, those kind of questions get to who you are, right?
So yeah, because I think if you're going to just straight up lie, if you are so casually capable of lying, that's not good. But if you're so capable of towing a company line, even though you know it's going to create complications down the road, I would also argue like that's not good either. That there's a way to like be mindful of both outcomes, and I probably just disqualified myself from being hired.
It isn't. But it's the honesty question, right? So if those kind of questions, you can get to who people are as a human being.
It's like a weird version of, is that the Turing test? Is that the one that they do with like, you teach self-driving cars who to kill?
Right. I don't know if that's true.
Have you heard this one?
No, I haven't heard that one. But it is, there are questions, assessments. I can find out, are you critical? Are you negative? Do you support your boss? Are you honest? By the time you take this assessment, I'll know all this about you before I talk to you. And then we also do video interviews. So there's some things you can't find out in an assessment, right? So we do a video interview. It's a one-way video interview. You do it on your phone, and we structure those video interviews for each position.
Yeah, those are game changers.
So you go, what did you do? In fact, that changed our corporation actually, because we're usually all the people in Hawaii. And then I had a campaign I ran for a large framing company. I had to find 160 carpenters like in 2 months. Everything was in Spanish. Nothing was in English. And I had to find some people offshore. So I started recruiting offshore. Oh my God. It's amazing. I mean, I can hire a person that has an aeronautical engineering degree, speaks 2 or 3 languages very fluently, is incredibly intelligent, off the charts person in Bolivia for like $9 an hour all in, maybe 8.
Or just throwing this out there, you could hire an American who wants a $35 starting salary per hour, no experience, wants 3 days off a week to go spend time with his family, and he may or may not do a good job.
Right. And so I have built our company on AI and offshore labor because that allows us to do a way better job for way less money than people. And we have like 30 people in the company and 20 of them are offshore. They're amazing human beings. In fact, it was interesting when we started putting the resumes together on our website. We had the people like, wow, she's got a degree in engineering. She's got a degree in architecture. She speaks 3 languages. Like, we have to go through maybe a lot. We have to go through maybe 800, 1,000 people to find the right person. But when we find them, they kill it. So we have an amazing team that we're a recruiting company. We should, right? So,
right.
But we got to offshore labor because it's amazing. So the video interviews, I would have not gone there had I started not listening to video interviews. So video interviews are crucial. Okay. Next, reference checks.
Oh, yes.
Don't trust what they're going to tell me people that like them. You've got to do reference checks. It's an example, true story. I had a client, hired a bookkeeper, didn't matter. She embezzled him, fired her, hired a new bookkeeper. The new bookkeeper embezzled him too. And she went to the DA's office and said, I want you to prosecute this lady. We just looked her up and she got fired from her last job for embezzling. I don't think so. So it's crazy. Check references, okay? Do background checks. You can do a great background check. We do it automatically on our clients, but $25, $30, you want to spend $100, you can get a killer background check. So make sure you check references and do background checks. If you do all that, you'll get good people. Now, once you hire them, you want to go over a few onboarding practices? Got a little time here, Ryan?
Yeah, we got a few minutes.
Okay. So best onboarding practices. Develop KPIs, key performance indicators, what you want this person to do. Give them feedback, document it. You want to set expectations. You can go to ChatGPT and say, give me a, 3-month onboarding process for a project manager in a residential remodeling company. I'll lay it all out for you. Way better used to be. So we do that for our clients. Have expectations, document them, have employee reviews on a regular basis. Let people sort of be architects of their own success. Now, I think I was listening to Nissan Harriman or something, talking about how important feedback is.
Mm.
If you have a Rubik's Cube, right, and you're blind, i.e. no feedback, it'll take you 1,000 years to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
If you can look at the Rubik's Cube, it'll take you maybe 2 or 3 hours. That's because you have feedback. Why do we expect people to magically get better without feedback?
You mean people should not automatically know exactly what you want them to do without direct instruction or correction?
Yep, I'm saying that is true.
I don't think that makes any sense. I think employees should magically show up, know what to do, and we should be frustrated with them that they don't know exactly what to do magically. Right.
Like, how come you can't read my mind? I've been doing this for 30 years. I gave you 30 minutes, figure it out.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is off the walls here, sir.
Follow those practices, get rid of the myths, do what I told you to do. And I don't recommend you do it yourself, but if you can, go for it. Since we use offshore labor, use that AI, I can literally recruit, and that's why I changed my pricing structure, all the people you need for $1,200 a month. I don't think you can.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. And I'm sure there's 100 HR managers listening right now being like, that $1,200 a month is worth every penny to not have to do all the things you're talking about. And I mean, what's really cool about this, Paul, is like, obviously you're passionate about it. You've got this dialed in, you're smart, and you're like leaning forward with tech and like arbitraging talent where you can. So it seems like contractor staffing source is a really viable option to a lot of construction industry businesses. If somebody wanted to learn more about what you do, see if you can help them, see what's included with $1,200 a month, what's the best way for them to reach out and learn more?
Go to contractorstaffingsource.com. That's our website. My personal email is paul@paulsanneman.com. I've got my cell phone.
Ooh.
415-599-9006, right? I want to help you guys out. I think we're disrupting the recruiting in the construction industry because of the technology and the people we're using. So I would like to see that because, you're only as good as your team.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest problems in this industry is they don't know how to build a team.
Yeah.
And I can do it for you at a fraction of the cost. I mean, one guy they said, I paid more to hire my one project manager than I'm going to pay you all year.
That's crazy. That's crazy when you put it that way. If you hire like a headhunter to go poach him.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 15 to 20% of the first year's salary.
Yeah.
Do the math, right? I hired 20 people for a production home company, and I think I charged them $35,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, I think we have a really great technology and a really good way to help contractors solve one of the biggest problems they've got.
From the time that I've known you for the past several months, like it's clear you're passionate and really, really damn good at what you do. I'll make sure that all your notes are kind of listed here, your phone number, your email address, and even your website, thecontractorstaffingsource.com. Paul, I know you're crazy busy. Keep up the great work, man. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you. Go enjoy Hawaii for a second, because I can't do that right now.
I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Have a good time, Ryan.
This episode was hosted by Ryan Redding, author of the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, and founder of Levergy, the digital marketing solution for serious home service companies. You can subscribe to Blue Collar CEO on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit us online at BlueCollar.CEO and find us on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another awesome episode. See you soon.